I don't know if you're new to the channel, but I buy self-storage facilities, and we just bought this self-storage facility in Jacksonville, Florida today. And this property is a killer deal because it's so beautiful, it's so clean. And you would think most times that properties that are ran very well and so nice, that there's not a lot of add value, but this property has some add value, and it's this big warehouse right here that's just not rented out. So us being able to get a broker in place, rent out this space, will increase the value of this property over $2 million, almost $3 million. And so it's just simply finding this deal that we bought with seller financing off market, that once this property gets leased, we will cash flow heavy on this deal at 3% interest only, and eventually sell it 4 to 5 years later for big profits. Although this property is really clean, there are some things that we did change on how we run facilities. So I'm gonna show you exactly what we did on this property, the little changes we did, so come follow. So first thing is we just changed the keypad up. This is a spider door keypad. It connects with our software that we use, Tenant Inc. software. And so the previous software, you have to program everybody's code. This automatically makes the codes, automatically syncs with if someone's not paying, it doesn't let them through the gate. So these little simple changes allow us to manage the property more efficiently with less people, staff. And so that's what we do on all our facilities. And over here, just signage. So a little bit of signage. Just before it just said gate hours and that's it. So now we have our QR code if they want to rent units, our website, how to book a unit, the gate hours still. So just signage. There's a big old billboard on the main road you can see from the highway. There's a big sign up front. Those signage we ordered. It takes a little bit of time to make huge signage like that, so it could be a couple weeks before we get those in place. But let's go through the gate. Let's go check it out. All right, so some of the things we use are just special locks that we use on the doors. So that way, when someone rents a unit, we don't have to physically be here and open the unit or anything like that. So someone could book online a large warehouse space, D3, they could get the code to the gate, automatically come in. They could do this all online, get the code to this lock, open the lock, inside's a new lock in there for them to use and keep, and they can move in without ever having to talk to us at all if they wanted to. Obviously, if they want to call in, our call center people can answer the call, walk them through the process as well, but no one physically has to be here and meet them. So our staff, we don't have to have someone on staff, on payroll all the time, just sitting around waiting for activity. So we save money on payroll, which is usually the third highest cost in self-storage. So this property has a good mix of climate control units, drive-up units, just how beautifully clean this is. So this is not, a lot of times we buy in properties that need a lot of CapEx, a lot of work, and this one doesn't. So that's the great value about this property. All the CapEx we kind of budgeted for, I'll show you in the big warehouse, but there's really not a lot of stuff we have to do to this property at all. It's literally pretty much turnkey. It's just about renting out that big warehouse space and increasing rents on the other flex space units once those leases come up. Obviously, the self-storage business is a business of constant churn of people moving in and moving out. So just doing marketing, our typical marketing methods of PPC marketing and advertising to get these tenants, being able to make it easier for them to book online is what will allow us to continually fill this property up and continually push rents. So there is some value add here on raising rents, especially on some existing customers. Those are always a lot of times your best value add is some of these people have probably been here for 10 years and still pay a little bit less than what the market is. So raising those in-place tenants, increasing those existing tenants' rates, that's where we get extra value add for something like this that's so nice and clean. This property even has some parking units that are rented out. We have some parking in the front that's rented out. And then obviously some drive-up units. These are always typically the most in demand, the least vacancy on most facilities. People do like to drive up to the units. They even got some drive-up climate control. So those swing doors are smaller climate control units, which I've never really seen a lot of that before, but those get rented up pretty good as well. Some of my best storage deals are deals that are not just self-storage. I've purchased properties that are self-storage with retail. I've purchased properties that are self-storage with industrial flex. And so that's the same thing with this property. This property has that large warehouse, which is where most of our add value is. And those types of deals sometimes are a little bit tricky for banks to really do the underwriting or get financing properly, because banks want their like perfect little box. Like, hey, this is self-storage, this is retail, this is industrial flex. When you mix those kind of things, it makes it a little bit harder for banks. And so it's a little bit easier, in my experience, to get sellers to do seller financing, which is what we got on this property. Being able to, you know, ensure a quick close, and not having to do some, go through a bank process of getting their title commitments and their underwriting and then ultimately be denied. You know, we can give the seller certainty of close. So that what allows us to close a deal like this at great terms and still a lot of add value for us by having that big warehouse get it rented out. So let's check out the warehouse and we'll go from there. So this is our add value. This huge warehouse space that we get to lease up. And it's simply talking with the lease broker, which we just signed a leasing agreement with them, and getting this rented out. So in this market, by the port, there's very low supply and low vacancy in this market. So just putting this on the market with the listing broker, we should be able to get the right tenant in place. And so this is gonna be a total of 16,640 square feet, plus about 2,000 square feet of office space that we're gonna lease up. And we're gonna be asking a $15 a square foot for this space. The good thing about this space compared to other warehouses you might see that are similar to like this is we actually have AC in this unit. So that is a big bonus for us. And we're also not triple net lease. So a lot of people are asking in this market $13, $14 a square foot, but triple net, meaning they have to pay the taxes, insurance, expenses, along with the price of that $13, $14 a square foot. So with us, being that we had the other businesses, the other self-storage, it doesn't really make sense to do triple net on this building. So we have an advantage that they're probably gonna get a little bit better price from us, and they have AC. And in this Florida sun, working in a warehouse, AC is crucial. So we should be able to release this property, I think pretty strong, probably take us about 90 days or so to find a tenant who moves in here and probably is gonna be in here for 3-5-year lease with annual increases of about 5%. So that will be like immediately after signing that lease and they start moving in here and paying, it could be about a $2 to $3 million increase to our value. So we bought this property for $6.6 million. We get that tenant signed to take over this space. The property's immediately worth like $9 million. And so that is killer add value by simply just leasing one big building. And so that's huge because self-storage has churn of like customers moving in and out constantly, where this huge space, which is almost a quarter of our total rentable square footage, is one tenant who's gonna be in place, pay on time, every time, and for the next 3 to 5 years. So that's huge for us and a great value add that's pretty easily done. Now, I talked about our CapEx budget. So our CapEx budget is about $120,000 for this space. So meaning, and it's for tenant improvements, TI. And so if the person who rents the space was like, well, we want to build out walls, or we want to add fire sprinklers, or whatever it may be that they need, we have a budget set aside for tenant improvements. So that's always something that comes up in commercial space, whether it's retail, industrial. Sometimes they want things specially made for them. So we have the budget set aside for that. Sometimes you can negotiate with the tenant that they pay for it, but it lowers their rent. So instead of paying $15, they might put the $100 grand into work and then they only pay $13. Or we can pay it all because we have that budget set aside, and then maybe they even pay a little bit more than the $15 a square foot. So that's a great value add for us, easily done. It's just about finding that right tenant for this space, which in this market shouldn't be a problem. Another great thing we did during negotiations is this 16,000 square feet space that we're trying to rent out. The seller was occupying already about 6,640 of it. And so this space, we actually made a deal with the seller where while his other building he's building is getting ready, he's renting back this space from us at that $15 a square foot, which helps us with more income while we're waiting to find this new tenant for this other space. So a great deal we made with the seller where he's helping us out, we're helping him out. It's a true win-win. And that's what we look for when we talk to sellers, is creating those win-win opportunities, figuring out how we can help and solve their problems, and they help us out as well. So great add value here where he's renting the space and he's taking care of some other stuff for us as well. And sellers was great to work with. And this kind of opportunity is great when you have a seller that is willing and able to be flexible and work with you. And so we try to be as flexible as possible as well. And that is why we came to this great deal. We're able to close quickly on a big property like this. One of my actual highest purchase price on any property so far in my career. So it's all about solving problems. And so like we bought a deal in Illinois where the seller wanted to keep his business, which was like renting RVs and U-Hauls. And so we bought the space and we made a deal with him where he managed the property for us and was also seller financing. He managed the property for us, but he still got to use the office. He still got to run his RV rental business. He still got to use the U-Haul business. So it's just about finding their pain points and figuring out how to be a problem solver. And that's what we're really good at. What I'm really good at is, creative deal structuring and just finding out how to solve problems. So figure out their issue, solve the problems, and just work and be flexible with what they're looking for. And when you can do that, you're really adding value to the seller. And that's one reason they'll choose to go with you rather than listing with a broker or going out to the open market. So most every deal we bought except one has been off market. And that's why we can continue to do these deals, is because we know how to problem solve. So that's the number one skill that I look for in employees and everything else, is critical problem solving. One of my favorite things about this property is this huge American flag. God bless America and the opportunities we can have. There's so much opportunity out there, and this is the time to buy. So if you got money, if you got a hustle, this is the time. This is the market where you can make a ton of money. So don't miss out, take action, let's go. If you are looking to buy assets like this in self-storage, I'm gonna give you a free guide on how to talk to sellers. It's gonna be in the description below. Click that link. It has helped me lock up my 18th deal direct to seller, and 80% of my deals have been with seller financing. And that's how we did on this deal. Seller financing, a great opportunity. You saw there wasn't that much CapEx or work needed on this property, but tremendous add value, because I know what we're looking for, and we can show you what to look for on these types of opportunities. So make sure you check out all our videos, and I'll see you on the next one.